things at once. Number one, what do you think, for 20 marks, was the response of this girl when the boyfriend came to her? Number two, can you be subjective? In 3 paragraphs, tell us, what do you think this man went and told this woman when he was looking for money to take a girlfriend number 1 to hospital? You want to know? You need to watch the program tonight.
Do you really expect that this guy went and said, I have a
That's
girlfriend.
what I'm saying. What do you think, in 3 paragraphs, what do you think was the reason why
she needs to go to hospital?
Of course not. Because
do you think you
cannot crucify yourself.
Why not for my other girlfriend who's just giving me money?
No.
Who would not have managed to bring her?
You don't begin by telling the girlfriend. You begin by having many relatives. Then there's this auntie who's very dear to you. Who helped you, who used to take you to school when you were a child. Now she's fallen sick. That's the auntie that you need money for. And the reason why you don't have money today, because there's other uncle who is her husband.
Than last week.
Even him, he had a problem.
So, girlfriend gives you money.
Quickly.
Okay. This is the girlfriend whom you're spending the money on. Explain now.
You couldn't eat breakfast yesterday,
Where
but then
did you
today
get
you
the
have
money?
mine.
Sako.
The answers that are rolling off Titi's tongue is worrying me. Titi.
This is wisdom.
From practice.
People ask that, what is wisdom? Wisdom is lived experience. Chap. Higher. Stuff has been happening politically in the country. There was this conversation over the weekend. Kalonzo, Raila, Nyanza, did he endorse? Did he not endorse? I did not endorse Kalonzo in 2027. So who did you endorse? So who are you endorsing in 2027? Oh, the name will be released just before the elections. Okay. Bomas talks, Kalonzo again. Bomas is one of the co-chairs of the Bomas conversation. They have agreed. They've agreed on creating seats. This issue of Bei ya Unga, they are still not agreeing whether Bei ya Unga ikujua ama ikuchini. It's not clear.
You know, it has actually gone down.
Bei ya Unga. Okay. So there's a whole conversation. Opiyo Wandayi is the leader of minority in the National Assembly. He joins us in the Situation Room. Welcome back, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much, team.
Good to have you here today.
Yeah, happy to be back here. It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
To meet this wonderful team.
Mambo mingi inaendelea. We'll talk about the Bomas talks because you know very well what's happening in Bomas. Were you in Nyanza over the weekend when this meeting was taking place?
Yes, I was certainly in Nyanza. In fact, I came from Kitui the previous day. We had a bash, a very big Thanksgiving meeting in Kitui for the senator of Kitui, Enoch Kwamboa.
Enoch.
And the entire Zimio leadership was there. So I was there. And then from there, we flew to Kisumu.
And others took buses.
Well, you see.
So you choose how you want to travel.
Yes.
Sure, it's out of convenience.
Basically, people went to Kisumu. People
went to Kisumu.
People went to Kisumu.
And they proceeded to Bondo the following day. That's on Sunday. Yeah, where we had another big bash. The senator for Siaya, Oburu Oginga, who was celebrating his 80th birthday.
Why?
Yes. What a feat.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
80 is many.
It is many, Bwana.
I don't know. Well, I see 80.
Why?
Yeah, we wished him even many more years that they can celebrate. Yes, and continue to serve the people of Siaya and Kenya generally. And as you know, when people meet and politicians are present, people must talk.
Yep.
Yeah, so we also address the people who came there in their multitudes. Yes, that is it.
So, what was said in that meeting?
Many things.
Was there anything like, a warm welcome to our brother Kalonzo Musyoka and people from Ukambani who are here today, who've come to join us, in celebrating Oburu Odinga and appreciating and acknowledging that our brother Kalonzo Musyoka has stood with our son Raila Odinga in 2 previous elections as a running mate. Even in the last election, Kalonzo Musyoka supported Raila's candidacy and campaigned for him. Was there something like that?
Well, you have to put this in context.
Yes.
Yeah. First and foremost, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka was the chief guest. He was a special guest of Dr. Oburu Oginga. and he came in style. Okay? Why do I say so? He had a very, very large entourage comprising of the 3 governors of Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni, the senators, a host of MPs from the Wiper fraternity. Yes, so he came in force as a true guest. And you know, as Luos, we cherish visitors. Yes. If there's something that we value is
visitors.
Yeah. So we had to accord them the deserved welcome. Yeah, and indeed they felt at home. Yeah, that is it.
So as you answer the question.
Well, and again, during the time of talking, people praised Kalonzo. Yeah, especially Baba. That Kalonzo has stood with him all this time from 2013. Yeah, twice as his running mate, and again this time other time as basically one of the Azimio principals. And he said Kalonzo is a trustworthy comrade. He's a reliable person. He's been steadfast, and that they will continue to remain together. Yes, in fact, he used Kiswahili terms. Sisi tutazidi kusimama kidete na Kalonzo. Yes.
Very good.
And again, you see now from there, people make their own interpretations.
What was your interpretation as a PO&I MP?
First of all, don't just ask for my interpretation, because you should understand I am in the know of many things.
Very good.
Yes. Going by the position I occupy in the movement. Okay.
So with you, there's no speculation.
No, I don't speculate on matters to do with our progressive movement. Yes. My take is that Baba was simply making a commitment that as a Azimio family we shall continue to remain together and support one another, especially those of us who have remained steadfast like Kalonzo. Yes, support one another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Baba
there was no mention of 2027. Yeah.
But in the future?
Well, support is
politically
now
in the future is 2027. But
yeah. So I saw the media come with headlines, analysis, commentaries that now Baba has endorsed Kalonzo for 2027. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Okay.
That does not mean that Kalonzo Musyoka is not competent enough to be the presidential candidate for Azimio. As a matter of fact, Kalonzo is eminently qualified to fly the Azimio flag as a presidential candidate. Not only 2027, but any other time. Yeah, including tomorrow, if there was to be a by-election. Yeah, in the country, Kalonzo can fly that flag. But the point is that we haven't reached that stage yet.
Not yet.
Of anointing a presidential candidate.
Context then, Mheshimiwa.
Yeah.
In the run-up to this meeting on Sunday, a lot of things have been happening. Number one, there's been talk on whether Raila should run in the 2027 election. The governor of Mombasa, in a meeting that was attended by Raila himself, said, Baba, make sure that you're on the ballot in 2027. You still have time, you still have energy, you still have a chance. Okay? This comes on the back of a visit by President William Ruto in the Nyanza region the previous weekend. And in that visit by President Ruto, among the things that he was saying when he was addressing the people is, we have worked with Agwambo for very many years. Here we are again. We are having conversations taking place in Bomas. Now in 2027, if Agwambo is not running, it will be me against Kalonzo. This is Ruto saying that.
Yes.
It will be me against Kalonzo. See, Agwambo should support me against Kalonzo. Then here is Agwambo and Kalonzo in Nyanza and saying tutasimama kidete na Kalonzo. See the context of where people would be coming from. Speculation here is Raila, preparing the ground for, in the event I come and say, I don't think I want to be on the ballot again. Here is the man. The man will have been paraded before the crowd.
Yeah, you must also understand that part of the reasons why Baba was speaking in the manner he spoke in Bond was the outburst by Ruto the previous week or so while at Magunga, where he made those remarks about me I will be left with Kalonzo and so on and so forth. Baba was reminding him, because Ruto seemed to have suggested that Kalonzo is easy game for him. Yes. Baba was reminding Ruto that don't joke. That Kalonzo is 10 times stronger than you, politically speaking. Yes. And don't underrate him in short. And that if he were to face you, he would floor you in the morning. And Kalonzo went ahead to confirm that when he rose to speak, that whoever will run will have a field day against these Kenya Kwanza people because of the failures they have now been associated with. Now, that is politics. In politics, you know, you always want to, first and foremost, disorganize your opponents. Okay? But more importantly, to portray to your followers is that you are strong, that you are ahead of the game. Okay? And therefore, there's nothing really unusual about what happened in Bondo. And many of such meetings are going to be held, and many of such outbursts are going to come out. The fact is that we as Azimio are focused. We are focused, and when the time comes, we shall unveil our candidate. In any case, by the way, those of us who have lived in this country long enough, I'm sure all of you have, there's going to be a lot of alignment and realignments, a lot of movements, okay? And this movement we have may evolve into something much bigger than Azimio has currently crafted. And therefore, let us hold our horses. Yes, let's hold our horses.
We should talk about being focused, and it was very clear coming in from, April, May, June, and then going into July, of course, that one of the focus areas, whether it was taking up truly a position of opposition, was, the high cost of living, worried about where the economy was going and what Kenyans wanted. Would you say the focus continues to be in that area for Kenyans? I've always said that these Kenyans that everybody seems to be fighting for seem to be forgotten when it really does come to the battlefront. And I keep asking, is that focus, or is that still a focal point for you? Because Kenyans seem to be crying a little bit harder than they were in April.
It still is. What has made us what we are as a movement is the people. Indeed, when we led Kenyans in demonstrations early in the year, they turned out in their numbers. Gradually, the numbers continued to swell until it reached a point where it was becoming unsustainable for the state to continue meeting these demonstrations with the force of brutality of the police. Okay? And that's how the dialogue started under the stewardship of President Olusegun Obasanjo. So, Kenyan issues remain at the center of our engagement with Kenya Kwanza. And I want to disabuse people of this notion that the matter of the cost of living has been put in the back burner. No, far from it. The cost of living was and still remains one of the key issues under the dialogue at Bomas. I know the media reported that there has been some kind of agreement on a number of issues, including creation of some offices.
Has there not?
And so on and so forth. That is true. That is true. At the same time, it's also true that we are engaging on the matter of cost of living. Because it's a heavy matter. It's a very, very heavy matter that requires serious sacrifices in terms of taking legislative actions to remove certain taxes. So we are haggling over it. I don't want to diverge what's going on in the talks in public. But the fact is that as a Azimio team, we are focused on ensuring that these talks do not end without an outcome on the cost of living. In fact, the talks will not be over until they are over. And they can only be over once the matter of the cost of living has been addressed. Take it from me.
All right, we will. Let me ask the question that's on my mind. Just this little subject of the agreement that was arrived at during the talks for the creation of two positions. How exactly would these two positions then make the lives of Kenyans better?
If you looked at it broadly,
Yes.
you'd understand the rationale behind creating of such positions. First and foremost, there has been this outcry of inclusivity.
Yes.
Okay? We have a feeling that the nature of this country is such that you need to involve as many diverse opinions, as many diverse shades of people, as many diverse ethnic groups as possible
Yes.
on the decision-making table. Okay, we find that our constitution as currently crafted is so restrictive. Okay, so we're trying to expand that. Okay, so that we have as many people as possible on board the governance structure. That is why there's this proposition to create the position of Prime Cabinet Secretary. But also, we want to bring synergy in government because we think that Prime Minister, that's actually our position as Azimio, we want the position of Prime Minister created through a referendum, okay, to be able to lead government troops in the House, Parliament. Okay, that's our position. It doesn't change it. Kenya Kwanza, of course, wants the current position of Prime Cabinet Secretary to be entrenched in the Constitution, to operate from outside Parliament. Okay, we haven't agreed on the full mechanics about it. There's also the issue of checks and balances. We feel again that in addition, of course, to the elected leaders as members of Parliament, we need a position of leader of opposition created with the capacity to check the sitting government. Okay, we find some weaknesses in the current presidential system. Okay, yes, where a person who has run for president and eventually comes up as a number two is left out there without a formal office, without nothing officially to do, and that really doesn't augur well, not only for national cohesion, but also for the capacity of the country to hold their leaders to account. So we think that we need to create a leader of official position for the runners up in the presidential election to sit in Parliament and lead the opposition troops. In other words, we are basically watching for a parliamentary system. Okay? As Azimio.
So the leader of opposition to sit in Parliament?
Yes.
To become a nominated MP or to become an ex-officio member of Parliament?
Those are now details. Yes. What we are talking about here is once we create that position, and
what are you agitating for as Azimio?
We want him to become a member of Parliament. It automatically becomes a member of Parliament.
A nominated member of Parliament. An automatically nominated member of Parliament.
Once the Constitution decrees he'll be a member of Parliament, he is.
Okay.
You can't call him nominated.
Okay.
He is.
Okay.
By virtue of him having been a runners-up. Yes.
All right.
And therefore we lead the opposition troops in Parliament. So that doesn't really add cost to people. In essence, it actually saves the country. Because if you have a strong opposition which can rein in government, it means therefore that even chances of corruption escalating could be minimized, and therefore you save taxpayers money, and the benefit essentially accrues to the public.
But what's the benefit, as CT is asking, what's the benefit of having the runners-up in Parliament as opposed to you in Parliament? You are the leader of majority or minority in Parliament.
Well, I have just said that what we have currently is a kind of presidential system. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Which I think doesn't address our unique circumstances as a country. Yes, you must understand that. In the US, if I'm not wrong, which is the presidential system, okay? Many times, once those people run for president and they lose, they go back to become senators.
If they were senators before, they don't automatically become senators. Trump is out there.
In the UK, which is a parliamentary system, nobody runs for president, you know that.
Yeah.
It's the parties that compete. And on the basis of the number of seats they garner in the House of Commons, a prime minister is identified. And the queen or the king, as it is now, appoints the prime minister. And the leader of the party, or the second largest party or coalition of parties, becomes leader of opposition. Okay? So those are taught distinct systems. And we seem to be basically operating under some kind of mongrel. We are presidential, and yet we have got some elements of parliamentary. So we want to refine this. The only way to do it is to do a referendum.
No. But then I'm not getting.
Yes.
This number 2 in the presidential election. What benefit do we as a country get if this number 2 gets an office in Parliament? specifically in Parliament. And it could also
Would
be
you
an office.
prefer him being outside Parliament?
Could also be an office outside Parliament. Why
Well-
does that office have to be in Parliament?
Well,
Number 3, why do we have to have that office at all?
I've just
I'm
elaborated.
not seeing what we lose by not having that person becoming. They lost an election. They lost an election.
We need their services to check the government which is in power. We must understand. Governments need to be checked and robustly.
But those that were elected
Yes.
and end up in a minority
Yes.
elect their leader
Yes.
in Parliament. Opio and I, for example, this time is leader of opposition because he's leader of minority in Parliament.
You may want to understand, Eric, that our system as currently crafted of governance, there's even no opposition in Parliament.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, perfect. We basically have minority side and majority side.
And you're the leader
in
of
theory,
minority.
both sides are supposed to check the executive.
Yes.
Okay.
In theory. In practice, that's not the case. Yes, in practice, those on the majority side seem to think that they are
Act
part
as
of
government.
the executive. Yes, of government. Yeah.
Endorse government activity. Yeah.
Correct. So we can enhance. No system is perfect. What I'm saying is that we can enhance, we can continuously improve on this system of ours. Okay, one such way is by allowing somebody who has the gravitas to run for president. You know, you can't compare Raila Odinga with Opio and I, Eric. Come on.
No, we can't.
Yeah, you cannot. Yes, somebody with capacity to run for president and get millions of votes. Okay, we don't want him out there. We want him.
Reduce him to a mere MP.
We want him to come and lead the
That's what I'm
troops.
asking.
No,
We reduce
but
that person to a
he'll be
mere
coming
member
in
of
as leader of
parliament.
opposition with
He becomes Opio and I in Parliament.
So, if looking at the import of this and to say it is so important that this individual gets into this position, I think I'm also still at the then for what? Why would that be so important? What would this individual be able to achieve within Parliament that they would not be able to achieve, let's say, if they had a position outside, or if they are where they are right now today? Because it then would appear an awful lot, Mheshimiwa, and you have to look at it from this point. It would appear an awful lot as though we're saying, look, if you do lose an election, there's a little bit of something for you. That's what it looks like.
Ya kupanguza machozi.
You know, let me also just bring up to speed. You know, it is not easy for somebody out here without any formal office, even if you are a political party leader, okay, to keep government on its toes 5 years. If you are not a Raila Odinga, let me tell you,
You have to be an enigma.
you have to be an enigma. And we have got very few enigmas in this world. Yes. Who unto us one day if you have got no Raila out here checking government. And you've seen it. Anytime Raila keeps quiet for even a week, people cry. Why are they crying? Is it because they are not the leaders? They are there. People like Opio and I are there. But they can't look up to us. They look up to Raila. Yes. So we don't want to leave our country to fate. Let us institutionalize this opposition office so that at least, at the very least, somebody has got an office structure with support, budgetary support.
So
to
is
be
it,
able to-
okay, so is it somebody or is it Raila Odinga?
No, it's not being made for Raila at all. At all. Okay? But in future, people will be running for president, okay? And they will come runners up, they'll come second, and we want them to have an office where they can be able to serve the country. Okay? Raila can do it without an office. I've said that. He's doing it very effectively. In fact, he doesn't even need it, I can tell you. Let me for the first time speak for him. I don't think he needs that office of the opposition. No, far from it. But there are others who will not be able to do what Raila is doing now without such a formal office, with support systems. Okay? Yeah.
You know, Mheshimiwa, this constitution is now, what, over 10 years old?
Almost 12 years. 13.
13.
Yeah.
So the constitution is an adolescent.
Yes.
Now,
Just getting out of leading strings.
it's exactly. And what we're discussing here seems to point to the teething problems that adolescents have when they actually get into adolescence. If we're talking about a referendum, then don't you think it is then time for us to review very many of the things in the Constitution? Things that we may have considered to be a sticking point. You see, I have one which I always talk about. the body that was set to usher in the constitution and to review it and to ensure, to midwife it, so to speak. It was a 5-year term, or was it 3? It ended. They are very, I'm giving this as an example. There are many things that we have found to be in the constitution, but probably don't work for us, like this system of the presidency. Now, if we are going to change this, what else do you have in mind that ought to be changed, that we've looked at and said, this actually doesn't help us, this doesn't actually encourage us?
Let me tell you, I'm happy with that question. In the last couple of weeks, we have had the public, members of the public coming to give their oral presentations to the National Dialogue Committee in Bomas. In addition to the hundreds of memoranda that they had earlier sent to us. If you were in Bomas, you'd be shocked at how Kenyans feel about our current system.